वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज हम लोग एडिनोमेटॉइड ओडोंटोजेनिक ट्यूमर कर रहे हैं। लेट्स बिगिन। व्हाट आर द सिनोनिम्स ऑफ दिस ट्यूमर? दिस ट्यूमर इज ऑल्सो नोन एज एडिनोअमीलोब्लास्टोमा, एडिनोअमीलोब्लास्टोमा, or it's also known as two-thirds tumor, which is why is it called as two-thirds tumor is because it's two-third in young women, found in young women, two-third in maxilla and two-third associated unerupted tooth, in which two-third is canine. So because of so many two-third coming in its identity or in its clinical features, it is also known as a two-thirds tumor. Okay, it is uncommon. It covers for 2 to 7% of all the odontogenic tumors. It's not really that common. It's a non-invasive benign epithelial tumor of odontogenic origin. It's a non-invasive. It is not very aggressive. It is non-invasive, and we know we are studying it under benign. If you have seen my previous video of odontogenic origin, it is, yes, of course we are learning odontogenic tumors. Shows slow and progressive growth. There is growth, but it's slow and progressive. Histogenesis. What is the pathology which caused, or what is the etiology which caused this? Stimulus triggering AOT is not known. There are some hypotheses even that either it can originate from the enamel organ or the epithelial lining of dentigerous cyst, epithelial rests of Malassez, or remnants of dental lamina. Any one of these it can arise from, but it is proper is not known. These are just the theories. So you see in this photo, you see a swelling plus it's related to the canine and maxilla, which all comes in its clinical features. As I say, we have thought about it's a called as two-thirds tumor. Why? Because in two-thirds of these tumors appear in young women. Also, then two-thirds in the maxilla, and two-thirds related to the canine, which is unimpacted. Yes, unimpacted two-thirds is unimpacted too. So all of these you remember, you will able to write the critical features. So age is less than 20 to 20 years in which this occurs. Females are more prone than the males. 60% females are more prone. Two-thirds, remember. Site of occurrence, maxilla is more than mandible. Remember again, 60% of maxilla is affected and 30% of mandibles. Anterior, again, this is another point. Again, you remember 60% of anterior and posterior, because it's a two-thirds syndrome, which is called as. Lesions are asymptomatic, 1.5 to 3 centimeter. Can be 7 centimeter also. So obvious swelling, as you've seen in this picture, you have seen that you can make out that there is swelling. Also this picture, there is an obvious swelling. Also this picture. Okay, facial symmetry can be distorted. Facial symmetry can, like here, if there is swelling, then you will see, you can make out sometimes you cannot make out because it is intraoral. Okay, extraosseous occurrence in gingiva is rare, but when it happens, it's painless. It's a small tumor, 1 to 1.5. Usually it is 1.5 to 3 if it's extraosseous. And maxilla is more prone to mandible, and females are more prone than males. It's the thing you have to remember. What are the clinical differential diagnosis of this tumor? What you can also think of it as, it's central odontogenic cysts and tumors. Central odontogenic, the ones happening, one is benign fibro-osseous lesion and one is benign mesenchymal neoplasm. So you will have similarities between these two tumors, but you have to be very careful while identifying this tumor, which is adenomatoid odontogenic tumor. The radiographic features, you will find central aorta, well demarcated, always unilocular. Sometimes it can be multilocular, but it's rare, very rare. And smooth corticated, more common. They can be smooth or there can be a sclerotic border. If you see this border, here you will have a smooth border, but here you see sclerotic border. So yes, here in this photo you can see both, but smooth corticated border which is seen in this photo right here. You can see a very smooth corticated border in this. It's well demarcated. So this is more common than the sclerotic border. It's rare, multilocular. Okay. It can be confused with dentigerous. So these clinical features can give you that you will think about dentigerous because it's impacted, full, it's well demarcated. So you will think about dentigerous in this cases, but the histology can prove that it's adenomatoid odontogenic tumor. So 65% cases report radio opaque foci with radiolucent lesion. What does that mean? You will see that there is a radio opaque foci, the radiolucent lesion. That in between, there I am not shown. In between, you will have radio opacity, and around it, which will be the foci, and around it will be radiolucent. Usually eccentric in position with the lesion, eccentrically positioned. This radio opacity. Divergence of root and displacement of teeth. You can see in this photo, this is the tumor which is surrounding this teeth, and you see the divergence of the other roots, the other teeth. This is the central incisor, and the roots are diverging as the tumor is pressing on them. Okay, that is seen in this case. Gingival lesion may cause slight erosion of the underlying alveolar cortex. The gingival lesion can have some impact on the underlying alveolar cortex. Now we come to the macroscopic features, which is the gross. Central aorta is smooth roughly. You see this? It's roughly smooth. Spherical mass with distinct fibrous capsule. You can see there is the fibrous capsule inside. Here, if it's a cut section from the side, if you cut it, you see the teeth is well, right? Upon gross sectioning, the tumor may exhibit white to tan solid to crumbly tissue or one or more cystic spaces of varying sizes. So when you cut open or section it, you will see it is white to tan. See, you can appreciate in this photo, crumbly tissue or one or more cystic spaces of various size. There can be cyst associated with it. Then will be cystic odontogenic tumor. If it's associated with a cyst, then it will be cystic adenomatoid odontogenic tumor. Cystic adenomatoid odontogenic tumor. So yellowish brown fluid can be there inside. This is another cross section. Semi-solid material. It's not actually a cross section. The teeth is coming out, and this is the tumor. I don't have a picture of cross section, but you can understand what will be there. White to tan solid, crumbly tissue with cystic spaces may or may not be present. Yellowish brown fluid, semi-solid material, which is fine. It's hard, gritty, granular material. These are very granular material. One to several large calcified masses. So there are the calcified masses, which are present. May or may not be present. In some cases it is present, some cases not. Intact tooth specimen may show crown and an embedded tooth in cystic cavity. Can you see this? Can you appreciate that crown or the entire tooth is in the tumor itself? Now we come to the histologic features, which is important for us. Oh, this is not very clear, but I'll show you. Histologic features is multinodular proliferation. There is proliferation of cells. What are the cells which proliferate? Dominantly, the spindle cells are the ones who proliferate the most. Other than that, there is cuboidal, columnar cells and variety of pattern. Now, how do they proliferate? Who are the ones proliferating? Spindle cells, cuboidal cells, columnar cells. Mostly spindle cells. If you can see, there are cells, but you can appreciate the spindle cells which are here, right? So these are the ones who proliferate the most, dominate. In variety of pattern, there are patterns variety. First is nests or rosette-like. You will see rosette duct-like areas, rosette. That will be one kind. Then there is eosinophilic material and calcification. There can be eosinophilic material and calcification. I'll show you a picture. Can you see and appreciate there is calcification over here? So yes, so that is eosinophilic material. Tumor is delineated, that is the tumor is enclosed with cells. It is a proper demarcation. Most distinctive feature of this is scattered duct-like structures within the lumen in varying size. In this you can see there are scattered ducts seen in the lumen. Okay, these ducts can be lined by single layer of these ducts. I will be showing you one. Can be lined by single layer of either cuboidal or columnar cell, epithelial cell, and their nuclei can be polarized away from the lesion. May or may not be present. This thing, the nuclei can be polarized or nuclei may or may not be present. In some cases, eosinophilic rim-like, hyaline ring-like can be also visible in these tumors. Hyaline ring, eosinophilic material lining the ducts. So in between small amounts of eosinophilic material, calcification like CEOT like foci you can appreciate. Like we have learned on CEOT that there is calcification, Lessig rings. These may or may not be present, sometimes can be present. Anastomosing strands of basaloid cells which resemble rests of dental lamina can be seen. There can be anastomosing strands. Together they anastomose. You know what is anastomose, right? They resemble rest of dental laminas. Arranged in plexiform, either plexiform, trabecular, cribriform, lattice-like structures. These are the kind of structure in which they can be available. Some AOTs contain varying amount of dysplastic dentine, dentinoid, osteodentine. These are before dentine forms. So they can be present dysplastic, sclerotic. Lessig rings may be seen, I have told you, SCEOT, you could see calcification in the ring structure. The supporting stroma is loose, hypocellular, fibrovascular. And the treatment and prognosis, it's a conservative and surgery excision. You will have a conservative surgery because it is not that it's not spreading, invasive, it's not invasive. So you will have a conservative surgery excision. These are the places where AOT is most found. It's just an extra information, and this is where we find it in two-third cases. Yes, that is it with the lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.